Hello everybody, and welcome back to my Let's Build series here on my Bedrock survival world. So as you just saw, I just refilled all of my tools back up to working proper order. I feel like that's bad luck. Anyway, you can see this chest monstrosity here was from clearing out. This used to be an entire mountain range here that got demoed quite a while ago. And well, here we've got a couple mountains worth of stone and other valuable resources in these boxes here. So I'm running out of stone. I keep having to go grab more and mine up mountains and stuff near my area where I'm currently building across the way, quite a bit across the way. But I'm gonna go ahead and take all this stone that I can carry. As you see, I brought a couple of shulker boxes here so that I can just fill them up, fill my inventory up, and then transport all of this back to Enoch. And we are back. Look at all this progress that we have made in the last few episodes. It's a big project, I would say. All this terrain and everything. I haven't even gotten to building too much besides, walls and stuff. And then of course, built this fort here behind me, as well as the docks, which I built up last episode. The start of the docks, I should say. This is going to be a several part series. Because the docks are quite large down here. And I want to start filling this in a lot more. If you saw my last episode, you'll notice here that I did build up a little kind of a warehouse building. Maybe a living quarters and a warehouse, because as you can see up here, we would go into an area with no interior. But that's not important, because what is important is because this is opened up. And when I go all the way out over on the end of the docks, the render distance is too far that even these trap doors and doors and stuff just disappear. And so I don't want this to just be an empty, ugly space when you can see it from the exterior of the building. So I did fill in this area, as you can see, just an area where a bunch of stuff would go. Right, that's what a warehouse is. An area where a bunch of stuff would go. So this building here is built against the wall. Like I said earlier, I wanted to fill in this gap here where the wall, ow, that was kind of hot. Didn't want the whole wall to be visible all the way down because it was going to look way too flat. Although I could still make this look better, and I will, because I'm still not entirely pleased with the way that this looks. It's kind of secondary because it's up here and no one's really going to see it, but I still want things to look nice as much as I can anyway. But yeah, I did put this building here to fill the gap here so that the wall is no longer going all the way down. Now we've got this to kind of draw the attention away from that. And then you can see the wall even above it, which adds a lot of scale to it. So I'm quite pleased the way that this warehouse turned out. And as you'll see here, this is kind of maybe what I was thinking for the road design throughout here. Because we're pretty heavy on the stone right now. As you can see, the whole docks are filled with stone. And then we've got the surrounding kind of dock barrier here that's built with stone. And I want to bring maybe some more color into this area. More earthy colors, which we're going to have a lot of as far as the roofs for some of these buildings, and some of these buildings themselves will be more browns and stuff. Of course, there'll be stone buildings too, because I think they'll look good throughout here as well. If we go just over here to the beach, you'll see this is kind of, I think, what I want to go for with the docks. So there, we got mostly gray, of course, gray blocks, cobblestone, and of course we've got some of this kind of grime looking stuff here. Almost looks like it's leaking down. Bro, I just looked at you. I've also brought in a little bit of color here with the bricks and andesite, which I think I want to do every so often. Just gotta deal with this guy. Yeah, you run away. Okay, I guess he's gone. I think right now what I'm going to start with is building up the wooden docks coming here out of the stone platform. And then of course making a staircase or some way to be able to get onto those wooden docks. So let's start building. So I think these docks look pretty nice. As you can see, I kind of added a little bit of jungle wood as well as some of the border of the dock, the logs, the spruce logs I've kind of brought in just to make it look a little more inconsistent. It's beautiful, isn't it? I'm pretty stoked about the way that these docks have turned out so far. Not completely finished, but I think I am mostly finished with, these wood docks anyway. I still think they could use some more cargo. Obviously, they could use some boats parked here in the harbor, and maybe even some here at sea, but I'll get to those eventually. As you can see here on the docks, we've just got some barrels and copper just to look like different kinds of cargo, either leaving the city, going to another city, or coming to the city and being unloaded. I have got one crane over here, and I am going to build a second one, I think somewhere over there. But basically this is so that they wouldn't have to haul all their heavy cargo up the stairs here. There's also a staircase over on this side. So the crane will help aid the people in loading and unloading cargo. And cranes do crane things. You might kind of have to use your imagination here on this crane, as I don't know exactly how it works, but in my mind, right, maybe this small wheel on this side works to just lower and raise the chain portion, and this big wheel on this side actually pivots the whole crane system, so it could be going much steeper up like that, or it could come down straight and come at like a 90-degree angle. I don't know. In my mind, that's kind of how it works, but I'm pretty happy with the way that the crane looks. It looks, I think, like a crane. It looks like it belongs on the docks. So yeah, quite pleased with that. Now here that I've got all these docks put in, I can very easily start texturing these walls, which is what I'm going to do next, because these walls are still looking pretty bland and ugly. And maybe I'll think of some other cargo kind of things, maybe some pumpkins, some melon, maybe some pumpkins and some melons to go on these docks as well, just to really make these look nice and busy and like they're being used. That's my main goal. Another side little bit of detail here. On the beaches on either side, I've kind of just added some barrels, some driftwood maybe, things that could have fallen off the docks or fallen off to ships at sea and then been washed up here on the beach. And on the other side, I did a little bit of that as well. Right here. So just a little detail, nothing significant, but yeah. We've also got a little wagon here with some barrels, cargo and stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update here on how the docks have turned out. Quite pleased with them. Alright, let's go ahead and start texturing these walls. I have to say, guys, I think this is looking really cool. I really like the pop of color that this brick adds to the flat stone. Just makes it look a little more messy and a little more variation in there, which I think looks good. But despite that, look at that backdrop that we have from down here on the docks. It's beautiful, and it's not even close to complete yet. We still need to add a bunch of houses and boats and whatnot. There's still a lot here to do, but I'm quite pleased with the way that this has turned out. I still need to build another crane over there, which I will do. I just textured all these walls all the way around, and I just think it's looking much better now. So the next thing I want to do, I think, is I'm going to go grab a bunch of stone brick or wool. Actually, I think I'm going to grab wool. I should have a ton of it. I might have to go back to Melchizedek to get wool, but I also might have some in here. So let's find out. So let's go ahead and see if I can't make a decent plan for this area. This is such a beautiful view, guys. I am so in love with the way that these docks are turning up. But anyway, the view isn't what I brought you guys back here for. As you can see, I've done quite a bit of planning here. And none of this, of course, is for sure. I feel like I always have to say that. I'm just kind of guesstimating where I want buildings to be and the shape of the buildings in general that I want. Some of these I might actually build to the shape that I have them, but others are just kind of there to show me where I want a building to be. That way I can plan out the roads and just kind of get a feel for what this area is maybe going to look like. Although I might make significant changes to this as I start building up and as I start getting ideas. But what I'm thinking for now is this is kind of gonna be a warehouse area. So that one right there and this building, they're kind of connected, but these are two different buildings. We got a straight building here and a slight diagonal here. These two buildings here are gonna be warehouses, and then these two buildings here will be warehouses with maybe a little bit of an alleyway between them. Who knows? I might end up connecting them, but at the moment I feel like this is gonna work best. And so this road here will kind of just take you to the front entrances of the warehouse, which will be on either side of us. For storing things, of course, you know, warehouse kind of things. And then of course, this takes us straight up to this area where I just had a bunch of dead space under what I built last episode, the gatehouse and whatnot. Over in this area, I haven't really planned anything out yet because I'm still not entirely sure what I want to do over here. This will probably definitely change in the future. I'm sure I'll add more buildings and stuff back here. I just didn't really get a feel for this area, so I'm hoping as I start building some of this stuff up that I'll start getting a feel for what this area should kind of look like. So the yellow wool, of course, is our roads. The red wool is our buildings, as well as right here-ish, I've decided I'm going to build the other crane. So that's what that is. It's a little crane marking. And then this blue area here, I've decided is going to be somewhat of a shopping district type of things. So these two buildings here will probably both be some sort of processing factory kind of a thing, whether it be for gutting and the fish and stuff, or, you know, you got to kind of use your imagination, because I don't entirely know how things would have been back then. But I feel like we can spare 2 buildings over here that are more attached to the market side of things as far as selling stuff. And then this blue wool here is going to be a market itself. So maybe some stalls will be set out up here, probably attached to these buildings. Maybe just some free stalls around. Just a general quick place that the traders coming in to the city could sell their stuff to some of these stalls maybe. And then this building here, I think, is going to be somewhat of, not a guild, but maybe kind of a trading empire. So this would be a very successful trading company. They'd have their own buildings. This is going to be a tower here on this corner. And then this crane will kind of probably be theirs as well. As you can see, it's kind of blocked in here, at least as I have it marked out at the moment, that I could make a door out of either one of these sections of building. And this would be kind of their crane. So maybe there'd be a bunch of barrels and some of their trading stuff out here. And maybe like this building would be their own personal small warehouse where they stored up a bunch of stuff as well. So that's kind of what I had thoughts of this building here. And then of course our road here will connect up to the gatehouse, the dock gatehouse portion of things for the castle. So all this over here is going to be blocked off, right? The gatehouse is going to start there. That's going to be a little tower there on the end. Then we've got a wall that's going to connect to the castle itself, which will be in this direction, and of course go that way and that way. It's going to be a large castle, but everything over here is going to be kind of the castle docks. So we don't just want open access, as I've said before in some of my other videos. And I'm pretty sure that that's about it. This building over here that I've done, I just threw it here because I thought it would be a good spot. Maybe this is a fisher building kind of a thing. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe when I build it up, I'll find a good use for it. But at the moment, I just thought a building needed to be here. So that is what that is. So yeah, I'm not really sure how much of this I'm going to get done this episode. I'm hoping maybe I'll get a couple buildings built. I just need to decide where I want to start. And I think maybe I want to start here with some of these warehouses and this building here. Maybe for starters, for a short-term project, I'll start here just building up this road here that connects to our ramp. That's going to go all the way up to the gatehouse that'll enter the actual city, Enoch, of course. And then, of course, it'll connect also here to this ramp that goes down to our wooden docks down this way that we just built. So I think I'll take this section up first. This building, and this building. But I'm already a little late on this episode. I try and upload every week, and I'm pretty late on the weekly upload. And that's because I just went to a chimney convention, since that's what I do in real life. I'm a chimney sweep. And I was there for like 4 days. So I missed a lot of time for building and recording. So I don't want to overwhelm myself. I might just build one of these 3 buildings, maybe 2 of them. We'll see how fast I can build them. And I also think this episode's already getting sizable as it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with one of these 3 buildings. And I think I'm just going to do this little warehouse right here. Seems like a nice easy project, and I should be able to whip it out pretty quick. So let's go ahead and build this. Okay, now I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, Goofer, what the heck are you doing in a coral reef? Aren't you supposed to be building a warehouse? Well, you're right, I am supposed to be building a warehouse, but the reason I'm here in this coral reef is because I need some of these blocks to build my warehouse. This right here, the most important one, which is the brain coral, as well as the horn coral, which is, oh, I think this is bubble coral, but actually I think I want this as well. Anyway, I want kind of a big variety of some of these different corals for some of my dock building, as I really like the texture that a lot of these coral blocks have. They kind of look messy and dirty, but they give us that same gray texture, so it'll go good with the stone bricks and whatnot. So I think before I can get any further on my warehouse, I need to mine up a bunch of this coral, and I'm going to fill up my whole inventory as well as both these shulker boxes, mostly grabbing the dead brain coral as well as the tube coral and the horn coral. So let's go ahead and start mining this all up. Okay, so here we have the most basic design for a house or a warehouse. This is a warehouse, of course, but basically any build, this is just a most basic design. We have the walls and we have the roof, right? I went with the jungle roof with the oak stairs because they actually match pretty well with the jungle wood. At least when you're standing afar, it kind of looks like it matches. Anyway, you can see what I was talking about here with using the coral in my build. So I've got it going from tough to the brain coral, or I'm sorry, to this is the fire coral, to the brain coral, and then we got it going up to stone brick up at the top. And I think this looks decent. Obviously, it's nice and textured, but it's missing a lot of things. For one, it could use doors, right? This is a warehouse. There should be nice big doors to be able to bring cargo inside here. Also, things like windows and overhangs and whatnot. As far as warehouses go, I would say this is a pretty expensive warehouse, being the kind of blocks that I used on it. I hate mining coral. It's my least favorite thing in the world, easily. And yet, they're some of my favorite blocks, especially the brain coral. This might actually be my favorite block in the whole game. It's a beautiful block, but it's really hard to obtain. At least to obtain a lot of it to be able to build in large scale things. But as far as just a little warehouse goes, I think this is looking pretty good. Minus the obvious detail work that this building still needs, which is what I'm going to work on next. But I kind of just wanted to show you guys just the simple gradient that I've got from tough to the fire coral, to the brain coral, and then to the stone brick, which maybe doesn't look great from up close, kind of where I'm at right now, although I still think it looks pretty good. But the further back, of course, you go, these colors just kind of blend together, and then the textures just add that little bit of extra detail. And then I like the jungle roof on here. It adds a little bit of variation in color, right? We don't really have any of this color in this whole area. So that's going to kind of help this to stand out a little bit and to not just make it look all like a big blah. Alright fellas, we are back here with just a little snippet of the finished product, and I think it's looking really cool. So at the moment, it's just the small section. I got this building here built up, and then I got this building here built up. I really like the look that just the street even gets you when you're standing here at the end of it and looking down. This is why I love building these houses on a slight diagonal, is because from street views it really gives you that curved look to the road, and I think it just looks really nice. Anyway, maybe that's just a matter of opinion, but as you can see here, I've got this little bit of an alleyway, and then this is where I start to change stuff up a little bit. So I didn't have this planned out before in any kind of wool, but I kind of just went for it to see what it would look like, because I didn't want it to just be open. I wanted to kind of block some of this off when you're looking at this from the end of the street, but obviously still being able to see the big massive gatehouse towering over top. I just wanted to cut off some of this platform by adding this in. And then of course a lot of this sightline here is going to be cut off as well once we add some of these other warehouses in. I just think this is helpful so that in one sense you kind of feel like you do see the end of the street, but in another sense when you get down there you see, oh, the street keeps going, it's just kind of blocked off. And then this will create, I think, a really nice sightline here coming out of this underpass, and boom, we got warehouses, more buildings that'll be back here. We've got our giant platform and the ramp, and then we've got our gatehouse up there and our fort and whatnot. And of course, we'll have the castle over here, which will probably be the coolest looking thing around these parts. I'm hoping so anyway. And then as you can see, I've just got the yellow wool that will attach us here to these little warehouses under our platform. And then this will attach us over to where I've built the road and to our platform to get up to the gatehouse into the city, if that be your wish. You can see this is kind of what I was going for the road, right? Okay, sorry about that rude interruption. But the road here, we're kind of really heavy with the mud brick in the center. Broken up a little bit using some of the packed mud. I think that looks really nice to have a pretty consistent mud brick path, which is going to all of our areas, right? It kind of veers off this way to go down onto our docks, and then it kind of veers off, where am I? Right into here, right? To go into our, just a little alleyway pass through to get from one side of the port to maybe that side. I just think it looks pretty good. And then I've got the concrete powder here, as well as some coarse dirt to fill in the edges, just to bring in a little bit more dirt into the build, and maybe even I'll bring in some grass. We'll see once I get a little bit more built up, which I think is just going to help bring it into the terrain a little bit, because right, this is just a giant stone platform at the moment, which is okay, because I do want a lot of it to be stone around here on the edges, especially in certain areas, and here maybe I'll leave stone, but I do want to also bring it into more of a natural, making it look like this was terrain up here and not just a big man-made stone platform. Almost like this could have been a retaining wall, and some of this in here could have been filled in with stone, but some of it, you know, was still dirt and whatnot. Or maybe all this dirt has just kind of showed up the more it's been aged and used in the past, so up to your imagination on that one. But I'm quite pleased with the way that these houses look. I think they look a little funny, only because they're the only two houses, besides that one way back there, on this huge empty dock. But I think they look really good. And I can only imagine once I start to build up some of these other houses that this is gonna look really cool. And as you can see, the All Goofer has done it again. Look at this, an interior. Wow, this is an amazing interior. No, this is this is a barrel spam. I didn't really have any of my other blocks on me. I just have like barrels and copper. I didn't just want a barrel and copper spam like I did the other one. So for now, I just put barrels. But I'll probably come back through once I go back to my base and get some like hay and melons and pumpkins. I just didn't have any of that stuff with me. But I think that kind of stuff will help make this look a little more alive. Because at the moment, we kind of are just barrel spamming everywhere, right? Barrels, 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 barrels is really all I have, which I think looks okay. At least it's a good placeholder so I know where I want other stuff once I go and get it. You can see I kind of minorly connected these buildings here with this little shelf that is, of course, just has barrels on it, which I think looks really cool. It kind of breaks up this alleyway so it's not so open anymore, right? We've got a bit of an underpass on it. Kind of like this, but this is a very structured underpass, right? Whereas this is, it's still open, it's very shabby looking, but it does cast that shadow and block the sight line there a little bit, which I think looks really nice. So that was just kind of a small detail that I added, and I'm really pleased with the way that it turned out. So I think that's gonna do it for me. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss out on me building up the rest of this whole area. The docks is kind of my short-term project, but I've got long-term projects here too, right? These are just the walls into our city. So eventually, this entire space all in here is all gonna be a giant city. And there'll be the castle right over here. The wall will connect around these mountains, connect to the castle here about. So there's still so much work to do, but I'm quite amazed even at how much work I've done so far, being that everything I've built so far has been from the ground up. I've hardly used any of the game's default terrain, only because I've built everything up super high off the ground. As you can see, all these cliffs, I had to make these. This beach, I had to make this. If you go in here, you can see where the normal default land level is, and then I've really raised it up quite a bit here. I hope that by my next episode, I'll be able to finish this entire port area. It's not too much work left, although it is still a decent amount, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses that I have marked out. And then this whole area here is also gonna need something, whether it be more houses or, you know, something. I just haven't really thought that far ahead. I also want to build this gatehouse up and just connect it to nothing, at least just so it's there. It'll make this area look a little more complete, I think. So we'll see. Trying to complete everything next episode might be pushing it a little bit. But after all, I am the all goofer and building is what I do. So maybe I'll finish it. Make sure, please, to comment. I've got a few of you guys who are very loyal and you're commenting on every video and liking, of course, and it really warms my heart. Alright guys, I'll see you later. Peace out.